to kind of simulate a path for to kind of do a road design analysis to simulate a path. So what is AutoTURN? AutoTURN is most commonly used in urban planning and traffic engineering, to assess the feasibility of vehicle maneuvers in roadways and parking lots. In today's Lunch and Learn, we'll obviously be covering the basics of AutoTURN and some of the more complicated aspects of it we want to delve into, but we'll have we will have to cover what was said on the agenda. So without further ado, so you crack open your Civil 3D, and you have your demo file. So just a context for where we are. This is located. This is a residential area located slightly out of Winnipeg. So for those who know the map of Winnipeg, Winnipeg is way over here, and our site is down here. So it's a more rural development, and our task here is they have set up the lots. It's a residential area, and it's important to know what type of development you're working with, because that will in turn determine the type of road design that's going to be put in the area, and further down we'll also determine what type of road, what type of vehicles are going to be able to travel and use these roads. And that being said, it will also determine what type of simulations you will be having to run to make sure that the roads are designed to meet to meet the standards. So that being said, you have your site laid out. You have your right of ways determined. You have the road designed, and just a quick insight on what we have here. So we have the property line on the outer edge. We have the back of curb line. We have the gutter line, and then just for the design purposes, I've split, because this is a residential area. It's a 2-lane road system that we are designing with here, and so I've split the road into 2, and then have a middle lane into so just a middle line going through the lane, just so we could help run our simulations in a much easier way and a much faster way. You don't necessarily need to do this. Again, this is just for design and being fast and being much cleaner with our drawings. And yeah, so that being said, you have cracked open, you understand what's at hand here in terms of what we're designing for and what we're going to be running the simulation for. So you usually AutoTURN, if it's not installed in your computer or your Civil 3D right at the bat of when you get your laptop, you should be able to work through the ranks and talk to your manager, especially if it's a project that that you need to work on, that you need to use AutoTURN on. Talk to the manager. It usually goes through IT procurement, and the digital tools website should be able to put in a request there, and the manager approves it. And with a little back and forth with IT, you should be able to have it on your toolbar like we have today. So that being said, so once you have it there, you're essentially where I am right now. And next in line is you left click on the AutoTURN Pro, and then here comes a variety of options. Now in today's session, like I said, we're going to be keeping it to the basics. And so essentially we're going to be tackling the configuration part and the Smart 2D part, just so we could just get off it with AutoTURN and be able to deliver as much as we can in terms of basics. So quickly moving into the configuration area. there are three options here. So first, we have the settings. So once you click settings, it's gonna load up the AutoTURN Pro. So here we're essentially calibrating our we're calibrating our program to program settings to meet our design file. It's very important that we set it to the right units. We're working with meters, and so we have it tuned to meters. And next in line is where we're going to save the simulation. Do you want to save it in a drawing folder, in an Apple folder? This is essentially what it means. I really want to touch or change that. The rest are really different ways to customize it, but in terms of program settings, what you really want to make sure is you're working in the right units, and it should be meters. So once you have set that to meters, and then subsequent lunch and learns probably will tackle the rest of settings, but this is the most important one here. So once you have set that to meters, you go to OK. Now next we're going to go to properties. Now with properties, essentially what you're doing is you're setting up you're setting up the visual layout or the visuals of your simulation. We're going to be doing a 2D simulation, and therefore this area of 2D simulations is where we are going to be focusing our attention on anyway. So first we have the general, and in general, what essentially is happening here is we are choosing what layer we want our simulations to be put on. So usually so there are three options here. So there is a current layer, which is whatever layer your current layer properties manager is on, and then we have the layer you're going to choose. So here you're going in this two, you're essentially having all your simulations on that individual layer, that layer, and then the individual layers, you have the option to customize whether you want to put, for instance, the path icons on a different layer, if you want to put the vehicle name on a different layer and the tires on a different layer. But for today's purposes, and generally, usually what we go for is usually people would prefer having things on one layer, just so if you want to turn it on or off, you could immediately put it on and off with just a click of a freeze button. So for this case, we're going to do this layer, the C AutoTURN layer, and then just give me a moment there. Okay, good. Okay, now this is the path icons. This essentially shows the direction in which the vehicle is traveling and what color you want to put them on. So you have the freedom to play around with the different settings and change them to fit your needs when it comes to the design layout. So you could either once you right click here, left click here, you should be able to either put them on or turn them off, depending on what you want. In this case, we will be same thing to the vehicles, different. How will the vehicle drawing look like? Do you want the tires on? Do you want the loads on? Do you want the bicycle riders on? In terms of envelopes, what envelopes do you want to show? Here I currently have the vehicle body. I have set it to green. Then in terms of hatching, what do you want to hatch, and what color do you want it to put it at? So I have I'm going to be hatching the vehicle body, and I'm gonna be making it yellow. Um, and I'm gonna be applying an 80% transparency, uh, just just for a good layout. Same thing can happen to body clearance and so on and so forth, as you can see there. And if you skip this, you also have a very important one, which is the conflict analysis layer. So with the conflict analysis, you should be able to, um, you can be able to have AutoTURN tell you where exactly you are you are conflicting with given line work. So in this case, what the obstacle is, I have all my curbs at C road curb, so that's going to be my conflict. So whenever it hits the curb, it's gonna show an obstacle conflict, and it's going to be in red, and it's going to be put on the C return layer. And yeah, essentially, so once you have this set up, again, you could always this is it's not the end of the world if you haven't set this up when you begin. It's always nice when you do, because I can show you at the end where you can always use the update button and then select the block, and then it will automatically update to whatever changes you want to make. So moving into the vehicle selection. Now, again, so this being, like I said earlier, this is a residential development, and therefore there are certain vehicles that are designed to use a residential area. You wouldn't typically you wouldn't expect like a loading trailer to go through here. Thus, why some of these bends are to a certain radii, um, which is smaller than the one for commercial development. So in this case, we're going to have the vehicles. So we're going to be designing for uh, a fire truck. Simply because the reason we're choosing this, again, you could do it for any variety of vehicles, but the reason we're doing this today is because the fire truck is the biggest car that's expected at least to go through, make turns in this in this road, and therefore, if a fire truck, big as it is, can make the turn, therefore the small car as well should be able to make the to make the turn. So just to show you, so in AutoTURN we have a variety of vehicles. We have over 1,300, so 2,085 vehicles, and all these vehicles obviously are from different parts of the world, and different parts of the world have different road designs and therefore different road specifications. In this case, um, and which in turn makes it different vehicles at the end. So in this case, we are going to be designing for North America, so that's Canada and the US. So you go ahead and use Canada and the US as your filters. Now you can be able to add a filter onto the already country filter, which is a class filter. And so there's a variety of different types of vehicles, and and in this case, we're narrowing it down to fire trucks. So you clear all and you go for the fire truck. There are different types of fire trucks. They're basically these are all fire engines. So you have the pumper engine, you have the aerial, and then you have the rescue engine, and all these have different specifications. Now, a good question would be, how do you determine which one is used in your city? My take on that was I quickly Googled fire trucks in Winnipeg, and subsequently should be the same in our development here, and therefore went looking for the one which looks the most similar. And um, I came across the Arizona Fire and Rescue to be the one that looks the most similar, and it's the one we're going to be using. Now, again, with the different vehicles, you are able to edit them. You can make a copy of the vehicle and edit them. But again, our goal here is to learn the basics. So we're going to be we're going to be selecting just as it is the template. So I'm going to go OK with that. So now we have essentially set up the units. We have set up the visual style that we need, and then we have selected the vehicle that we need. And next in line is we're going to be simulating the path that we need. So we're going to be using the 2D arc path to determine the direction of our or to make a simulation for our fire truck. So here again, you could go back a step if you really haven't set it. You could go back a step and change that. But we already have it set, so that's good. And then next in line, we have to align the vehicle to a certain to face a certain direction. So again, it's a curb, gutter, middle of the lane, the line that divides the lanes, and then the same thing on the other, mirrored on the other side. So in this, you're always gonna keep right. We're gonna have the car facing here. So moving into this is essentially orienting the vehicle, and then you're keeping right of the road. So you essentially have it aligned. So we're gonna click, and then you're off to the races now. Now you could start plotting the predicted simulation of how this truck is going to maneuver in this road. So I just want to touch a few things here just before we get deep. So this is these are the SmartPath tools. Currently here we have three different options. You have the generate arc path, you have the corner path. So essentially this can help with the corners, and you have the corner of a steer path. Here we have the gears. So this is a forward arc, and then this is a reverse arc. We're going to be using the forward arc because we're moving front now. And then you have the option to preview the arc path. So this essentially gives the maximum bend that it could take. And then you also have the speed at which you're traveling. Now, notice if I put, for instance, 50 as a speed. Look, you barely, the turns takes a bigger radius. If you reduce that to say 5, the radius of the turn is a little bit more flexible. So it's very important to set the speed to the right speed. In this case, we're using 5, just so we could, which is like the lowest speed, literally with no foot on the gas. You're just rolling, which is the smallest speed. And then down here we have the wheels turn from stop. So for instance, so here is our truck. We're moving. So the turn wheels from stop is essentially you're locking your car and then you're doing the maximum turn you could do. And then and so essentially that's what the turn wheels from stop means. You're stopping the vehicle where it is and you're starting the turn. And then the force straight is essentially you're you're telling it to go straight down. So notice it's going straight in the line. And yeah, so now we have approached the bend here. And now we're going to be simulating the turn here. And so one way to do it is you could, go along and try to plot every instance of the. Give me a moment there. Okay. So just like we're saying, one way would be to just give it a moment. Realign it again. So sorry about that. And see. One way. Okay. I think now it should be good. Okay. So yep. So so it does crash from time to time, at least for mine. I've had different experiences from different people, so it should be it should so every time, just a reminder, should always have your temps ready to go. So in this case, like we said, um, we're approaching the corner path, so we're going to use the generate corner path tool. So with this, it's going to essentially notice whenever I hit the curb, it draws the circles at the point where my predicted path of the vehicle hits the curb. So that's an important tool, especially if you're doing long distances and you don't want, and you just to, it points out everywhere you have hit the curb. So in this case, you're making the turn. So we're good. We have the generate corner path tool there. So we're making our turn, and you're switching to the normal, and then you're returning to the lane. And just like that, you're clicking, you're left clicking every time you have it centered. So now we could use the force straight line, and then, well, now it's going to go for straight line. So this is going into the other lane. So you don't want that, and you want to keep using the generate. You don't want the for straight. So say it's going to stop a fire here. Now I'm going to demonstrate how you could show the different turns that the vehicle could be able to make in such an intersection. So in this case, you are turning, you're moving into there. You're going to turn the corner, making sure you're not hitting the curb, and then going into the lane. So say so it's stopping the fire there. Now it has to back up and go back the direction it came from, back to the fire station, without going all the way around, because it's going to be a long distance. We're trying to demonstrate that it could actually reverse and return to the other lane and move on. So with that, you could change into the reverse arc path and have it to the corner. So we are reversing. So remember, this is the curb, this is a gutter, this is the middle lane. So you want to reverse right in the middle of the lane, and then get back in the forward gear. So notice it does that automatically for mine, and then you could move on. Okay. So with this, with the right click, I've ended the simulation. I've now shown that the 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 truck can easily maneuver the corner there. It can easily do the reverse using our intersection, and yeah. So essentially, we have we have it at that point. Now, just like I said, you could update. So right now, like you can see, there are no conflicts. You could update what this looks like, the visual style, if you by just a click. So for instance, if I wanted to say yellow is not that good of a color now, and I want cyan to be my color, I could easily do update and then click, and let's see, and there you go. So it's updated now. So with that, you could go back and change what you could go back and change, for instance, if you want to change the vehicle name, if you want to add it there, if you want to change the colors. So those are the different ways you could play around with the visual style to have it match your desired intentions. So with that, I would say I've come to the end of our basics in AutoTURN. We've been able to show how to select, how to calibrate our AutoTURN. We can now pick different vehicles depending on our development, and we can simulate a path using the different commands in the 2D arc path. So thank you very much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen.